Hello YouTube, Zach and Fiend Aconite here, and this is the Q&A, finally. Um, as per expectations, I didn't get that many questions, but before I get into that, I'd like to clear something up about something I said in the Gothic Amino video, um, towards the, towards the end of it there. At the time, just because I wanted to, fill them in, I was watching the video with a couple of my loved ones. One particularly was my brother, who he's, I guess, at that younger point in his life when he just he's got a bit of a dirty mind. Because when I said don't join Gothic Amino, not unless you want to get shamed for something you can't control, what I meant was they're just going to shame you for whichever side of the sexes you're on, which you have no control over. You're either born, into one side of the sexes or the other, and that's not something you can choose. That's not something you have control over. But what he said, it sounded like I was talking about was, it sounds like they're just, it sounds like you're talking about not having any control over your dick. Really? Really? I mean, if you got a dirty enough mind, I can understand the joke, but yeah, it's definitely not a joke to those SJWs over there, though. I mean, it's probably just more quote unquote evidence that they think I'm an incel or some stupid shit, which I think way too many, especially younger women, are throwing that word around. But that's whatever. So, without further ado, let's not waste 2 minutes, which is what I exactly did. At what age and how were you introduced to the subculture? Yes, I have answered this one before, but it was like a bajillion years ago, so I guess I can tell the story. Funnily enough, I wasn't much older than my brother at the time. I think I was 11, 12 years old, and I was watching Goosebumps, I believe. At the time, pardonnez-moi, at the time, my only exposure to the subculture, at least aesthetically, was just the Hex Girls, I guess, along with whatever occasional little animated characters throughout TV that I'd seen. It wasn't anything live action at the time, but it was around the time that Cartoon Network was playing reruns of Goosebumps that I came across R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour, Don't Think About It, starring Emily Osment as Cassie Keller, I think her name was. I mean, in hindsight, it's just a character that they got for a TV movie with, a cheap wig for hair, shapeless black outfits, the occasional weirdo necklaces or whatever have you. Just something that made her look the stereotypical image of an adolescent in the scene who honestly just looks like a mall goth, really, if that's what they were going for. But because I was so young at the time, it was my first exposure to, somebody who just looks like that, somebody who's a part of that subculture, that gathering. It was difficult to process then, so much so that I find it difficult to express it now, because I was at that age where I didn't have quite a libido just yet, so I wasn't, sexually attracted to the imagery of her. But at the same time, I was still, it was weird. It was almost like I was entranced. But honestly, it's almost like the trailer for Corpse Bride. She was frightening but beautiful, all at once, or something like that. Is what I was feeling. It was mostly, funnily enough, it was mostly up here, going on. But yeah, as soon as I thought for sure, because I had no idea what to expect going into it, that she was just gonna look, because you could see in the adverts that it was just her with the regular blonde hair and maybe the occasional creepy clothes, but I just thought that she was gonna show up in the movie, as herself. I didn't realize she was playing such a drastically different character, makeup, aesthetic wise. We never hear much of her music, so Even then, I don't suggest duplicating everything that she does in the film, especially if you're young and impressionable enough. It's a fun character, but I don't know. Maybe not the best example. She's definitely not the worst, though. I mean, if you've seen if you've seen Book of Shadows, that chick smokes weed, so and does maybe the occasional booze. I don't know. At least Cassie's clean. Favorite Michael Jackson song? I don't listen to the guy that much, but I don't know. For the longest time, my favorite song of his used to be "Dirty Diana," as well as the video for it. I just guess was a fun video to watch. Not anywhere near as fun as Thriller for obvious reasons, but funnily enough, there's this cover of the song. Is it "Smooth Criminal"? Played by Alien Ant Farm, and the video for it is hilarious because at some point, I guess the singer jumps up onto the hood of a car, and he grabs his nuts, and he's all, ah! The windows under him just explode. But yeah, not particularly anything Michael Jackson related, but I do like that cover. Okay, this is a longer one, but it's several kind of all at once. So when I get these, it's kind of a double-edged sword because my audience is, so minuscule as it is, but at the same time, I'm almost tempted to answer it like a joke. Like, was it the doctor guy, the Asian Ken John, I think his name is. He got a tweet from somebody asking about booze or whatever, and it was all these questions like involving the subject. How do I know if I'm an alcoholic or whatever have you? And he said something like, if you have to, ask this many questions about alcohol, you're an alcoholic. It's kind of that way that I want to reply to this, but it involves the goth subculture, which these are obviously, very legitimate questions, very honest curiosities. So when it comes to that sort of a topic, I'm always tempted, as tempting as it is to answer with a joke, I'm always compelled to answer with the candid, honest facts. So let me just go through this section at a time. Advice for someone who is too broke to go to a concert. Watch it live on YouTube. But too young to go on to any of the clubs around them. You know what? I'm not really the best advice giver when it comes to this because I'm such a shut-in myself. I think you should go to a different YouTuber for this, particularly, I guess for social gatherings. Angel Benedict knows a lot. She seems like she knows more about peopling, especially than me, because I'm such a young bastard. But wants to have some sort of connection and communication to other goths IRL instead of just Gothic Amino. Oh, you're one of those people. No. But yeah, no. Either maybe start your own site if you want it to be like a part of the online community, but I can understand wanting to expand more to the real life, offline scene. Maybe start your own themed nights at your local club. I don't know. I'm not the greatest advice giver with these sorts of things. Apart from painting portraits or whatever, I mostly just consume. I don't hardly create. Nothing musically, of course. I mean, aesthetically, I'm one of those guys that came for the art and stayed for the tunes. Also, how was your Thanksgiving? Well, thankfully at that point I didn't get sick, but give it a couple more months as I'm making this. I'm not in the best of health right now. You can probably hear it in my voice. But those are the questions. Maybe I'll do another one in the future. Maybe you can leave a few down below. But I hope that did it. If you like, please like. Feel free to share your obscure little thoughts in the comments below, as well as to share the video itself. Subscribe if you wish to see more. Don't forget to hit the bell if you do. As always, thank you so very much for watching. I love you all. And as fun as it is to dip your mind in the occasional gutter, just remember Bill Burr's words of wisdom when it comes to, your dick. All it ever says is, do it, fuck it, do it. Your dick's a dreamer, not your friend. Think with the head on your shoulders, not the head below your belt.